Let us come to order. Today is Tuesday, the 4th of April. We're at the Civic Center for first a special meeting of the City Council. Consider one item. Please call the roll.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Here.
Ms. Albrecht.
Here.
Mayor Bailey.
Here.
Mr. Wallace.
Here.
Mr. Putnam.
Here. The item under consideration is a budgetary item. It has to do with the completion of the Coast Guard markers at the head of the canal. It's the change order for the canal marker. Dewberry Travel Ridge. I'd like to explain this to the council again.
Sure. Jeff Britton, Dewberry Preble Rish. This is an item that we've talked about several times now. What you're looking at in front of you is the engineered design for a timber pile. And if you recall, we previously had steel piles on the channel markers. The boat captains and the city wanted us to go back and look at a timber pile solution. We got with our structural engineer. He came up with a design for a 14-inch timber pile that'll be embedded 24.5 feet deep. The depth is such that the pile itself will snap before it will pop out of the ground. And so that's where the depth calculation came in. The equipment to be placed on top and on the sides is the nighttime beacon, which is a light that meets Coast Guard requirements, and then the standard boards that you're used to seeing during the day, the red triangle and the green square. All this together, the contractor provided the bid for $72,000. Breakdown on that is $22,000 labor, $39,000 150 for equipment. That's the barge, the crane, the equipment to drive the piles. $10,000 is material. So the piles, the signage, and the lights are only $10,000 of the $72,000. And then the contractor's bond for $850. And the city has a grant that will match 50% of it up to $60,000. So there's a CPI grant, Coastal Partners Initiative, that'll cover up to $30,000 of this cost. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts?
How long are the piling?
Piles are pushing 47 feet. They're in about 8 feet of water, 6 to 8 feet of water, and they extend 10 feet above.
Long.
Yes, very.
No question.
This is what the boat captains prefer?
The timber pile, that is correct.
I think, from my opinion, when looking at it, the cost of labor and equipment is too high. And I'm basing that on no other price from anywhere else. The cost of materials at $10,000 and a price of installation and everything else associated with it at $62,000. We started out with big steel structures at $78,000. Something doesn't seem right.
So what's the difference in the original price that they gave us and this one?
The original price, the difference is going to be the materials. You're going to need right about the same equipment to set those large steel piles that were only embedded 14 feet that you're going to need for these 45 to 47 foot piles. You're still going to need the barge, you're going to need the crane to lift them, set them, and then you're going to need the jets to drive them into the ground.
But was not the previous price $78,000 installed?
It was 78 or 87. It was some combination of that number right there in that ballpark. That's correct. And you can see by the material cost that we just went through, the majority of the money to install these is the labor, material, or the labor and equipment. Excuse me, not material.
What is the life expectancy of the wooden ones?
I think it should be a 20-year design unless it gets hit by a major storm, and depending on the direction of the storm when it gets hit.
Steel would last longer.
I know there was a big discussion or a lengthy discussion on this, and the boat captains, the ones that spoke, really wanted to do away with the steel and wanted to go with the wooden. I know that was definitely their preference.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to adopt the change order.
Well, I make a motion, we adopt the change order.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. McLaughlin,
Yeah.
Ms. Albrecht,
Yes?
Mayor Bailey,
No?
Mr. Wallace,
Yes.
Mr. Putnam.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's the only item on the agenda for the special meeting. I declare the special meeting closed and our regular workshop meeting now open. Let the record reflect that